Today we're going to be looking at solving 1 and 2 step equations. So let's review 1-step equations. So the first thing you have to do is determine what operations are being performed on the variable. Then you apply the inverse operation. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. Then the inverse of multiplication is division. So think of the opposite. So you can go the opposite direction too. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of division is multiplication. So let's look at some problems. The first one, we have y plus 4 equals 8. Y, we are subtracting 4, so we have to do the opposite and add 4. And add it to both sides. So minus 4 plus 4 cancels out, so we're left with y equals 8 plus 4 is 12. The next one, negative 18 equals negative 3 plus x. We have to get x by itself, so we are adding, so we have to do the opposite. But we have a negative 3, so we have to add 3 to both sides. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So it cancels out here and leaves us with x equaling negative 18 plus 13 gives us negative 15. The next one, we have m minus negative 4 equals 10. Minus a negative ends up being addition. So we have m plus 4. So we have to subtract 4 from both sides. Gives us m to equal 10 minus 4 is 6. If you feel like you're getting the hang of this, go on and pause the video and try the next 4 and then come back and see what you get. For the next one, we have 4y equals 8. So 4y is 4 times y, so the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 4. We get y to equal 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now let's look at x divided by negative 3 is equal to negative 18. Since we're dividing, we have to multiply both sides by negative 3. Cancels out, we're just left with our x equaling negative 18 times negative 3. Negative and negative make a positive. We get positive 54. We have 2/3 a equals 8. So this is 2/3 times a. Opposite of multiplication is division. But we cannot divide fractions. We have to multiply by the inverse. So we are going to multiply both sides by 3/2. So it cancels out here. We're left with a equaling, and then 8 times 3/2 gives us 8 times 3, which is 24. We divide it by 2. So we get 12 as our answer. The last problem here, we have negative 0.123c equals negative 0.4305. This is multiplication, so opposite is division. So we have to divide both sides by negative 0.123. Cancels out. And c equals, if we divide this, we get positive 3.5. So that is 1 step. Now we need to look at 2 steps. So our goal for 2 steps is to isolate the variable. So we apply PEMDAS but in reverse order. So we're either going to add or subtract first, and then we're going to multiply or divide. So we have negative 2n plus 10 equals 30. We have addition here, so we have to do the opposite. We have to subtract 10 from both sides. So we're left with negative 2n equaling 30 minus 10 is 20. Now we're to a one step. So negative 2 times n, doing the opposite, so we're going to divide by negative 2. N equals negative 10. Let's look at the next one. We have 5 plus x divided by 4 equals 1. I like to think of our first step as finding the loose number. In our loose number, we're either going to add or subtract it. So our loose number here is 5. So we have to move that to the other side. So it's a positive 5, so we have to do the opposite, subtract 5. It leaves us x over 4 equaling 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Now we have a division. We have to do opposite, so we multiply both sides by 4. Cancels out. We're just left with x equaling negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. The next problem, we have n divided by 3 minus 8 equals negative 2. Our loose number here is minus 8, so we're going to add 8 to both sides. We get n over 3 equaling negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6. To get rid of this divide 3, we have to multiply 3 to both sides. Cancels out, leaves us with n equaling 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, the next problem we have 2/3 m plus 6 equals negative 12. We have to get rid of our loose numbers, that's plus 6, so we're going to subtract 6 both sides. We have 2/3 m equaling negative 12 minus 6 is negative 18. So we have to divide by 2/3 both sides, but we cannot divide with a fraction, so we have to multiply 3/2 to both sides. It cancels, we're left with m equaling negative 27. Okay, let's look at the back. I want you to pause this video and do the next 2 problems, and then come back and check your work. Okay, well now let's check our work. We have a negative x over 6 plus 12 equals negative 7. We have to get rid of our loose number. Our loose number is 12 here. So we do the opposite and subtract 12 from both sides. Cancels out, so we're left with negative x over 6 equaling negative 7 minus 12, negative 19. Now we have to get rid of this divide negative 6. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 6. Cancels out here, so we're just left with x equaling negative 19 times negative 6 is a positive 114. Now let's look at the next one. We have b plus 1 divided by 3 equaling 2. We have to get rid of this divide 3. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. It cancels out, and we're just left with what's on top, b plus 1. And that equals 2 times 3 is 6. We have to get rid of this divide 3 so we can get to our b. We can't just do the opposite for the top without getting rid of the bottom. So now we have b plus 1 equaling 6. We're going to subtract 1 from both sides. B equals 5. For the next two problems, we have a verbal phrase, and we have to write it as an equation and then solve. So twice a number plus 4 equals 6. Twice a number is 2 times a number. So 2x plus 4 equals 6. Now we have to solve. Our loose numbers are 4. We have to get rid of it by subtracting from both sides. We bring down our 2x equals 6 minus 4 is 2. Now we have 2x, which is multiplication. We're going to do the opposite and divide both sides by 2. So x equals 1. The last problem, 7 less than 4 times a number is 13. We see the word less than. That's one of our flipping words. So we have to flip our 7 and whatever is over here. So less than is a subtraction problem. So 7 will come on, instead of being in the front, it's going to be in the back end. And then we have 4 times a number. So 4x out in front is equal to 13. Now we solve. We have a loose number of minus 7, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. Cancels out. We have 4x equaling 13 plus 7 is 20. We have 4 times x, so we're going to divide both sides by 4. And then x equals 20 divided by 4, and that is 5. So that is the lesson on solving 1- and 2-step equations. Please reach out if you have any questions.